And we're back. I'm Kimberly Diamond, and you're watching The Human Factor on Now Media Television. Let's dive back into today's conversation. Hello, we're here with Krishna Mohan, and in this segment, we're looking at one of the most powerful but hidden realities of leadership. It's loneliness. From the outside, leadership can look glamorous, but on the inside, it often feels heavy and isolating. So, Krishna, I wanted to talk with you about, obviously people do think it's glamorous to be the leader, but I've known many leaders and I know that that's exceptionally challenging and incorrect. So, share with us, when you as a leader have felt the weight of of being isolated and having to make all the pertinent decisions and what that's like, in that environment.
Yeah, it is definitely lonely out there, and because the most important problems that you are facing or you're ever going to face are going to stay with you because you don't have anybody to empathize or sympathize or emote with you when you are at the top, right? Because everybody are playing their own roles. You delegate what they are supposed to do, and then they have their own challenges in their roles, and you take the responsibility of the consequences of every decisions that your team takes, and finally the buck stops at you. And then you take financial decisions, you take leadership decisions, you take people decisions, market, lot many things, right? You're the one who is moving the needle, and again, not always you're right, and then it's a constant stress and constant you know thinking, and you're trying to handle many parts, and then you have numbers to achieve, you have certain metrics to meet, um, but then again, like I said, you don't have anybody to share these things. So I think somewhere you need to figure it out, to develop some
Mm-hmm.
kind of a peer network, who are playing at
Mm-hmm.
that level, and then probably have the trusted relationship where you could share, and get some ideas in terms
Mm-hmm.
of how they are, and again, not always you're trying to look for solutions, but at least you have someone to share your problems and understand your journey. And then also, your mentors, whoever are above you, that you look forward, they may be able to throw some light, or even help you to identify some of your blind spots. Maybe I'm so much into this business, so my mind is so stuck up with these things that I'm looking at as problems. But there may be a different perspective that someone who is neutral, not in my business, has been there, done that,
Mm-hmm.
can open up a new perspective for me, and that can be a refreshing perspective. Maybe you should consider this. Maybe you need to do this, or maybe this is the way it works. So these are some of the ways that loneliness can be, not so lonely.
Right. And that's great because I was going to ask you that question. I was like, how can people, look to others, peers,
Yeah.
mentors, coaches to make sure that, like you said, that they're when they're struggling with being in that position, of authority and just how do they lean on different people and do they open up, because connections with teams and blurring the boundaries and losing authority, how do you manage those lines? Because obviously some people, I think there are some leaders that feel like that shows a sign of weakness,
Yes.
that they're losing their authority versus a sign of just looking for a different perspective.
Yes. Yeah. Also, again, this is my own style, is developing a culture of ownership is one way to handle this, right? Like, if I
Mm-hmm.
have you know you know top five go-to guys that I can rely upon, and they can take some of my load, and they take the ownership of running their own organization within the organization, then that makes my life a little more easy. Makes sense. So,
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
CFO can be one among them. My chief HR officer can be one among them. My VP sales can be one among them. But again, it requires coaching. It requires grooming. It requires making them accountable for
Hmm.
certain things way beyond just the job role.
Hmm.
So if I can break down like my top three metrics that I'm looking at, and then break that down to like 15 metrics, and then and assign each metric to someone who can take the ownership of that metric.
Hmm.
That makes sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and then
Absolutely.
but that requires a skill by itself. But
Right. Right.
that will also make you not so lonely because you have these,
Yeah. Yeah.
this army working for
Hmm.
you, with you, and it's as if my problem is their problem.
Yeah. You're creating collaboration in that
Exactly,
environment.
exactly. And
Ex-
then also creating, again, when you create the sense of ownership, that also means
mhm.
that they feel they're important.
Yes,
So whatever they
absolutely.
do is critical. It's not just their job. It's going to make a real difference
Exactly.
to the organization. So that's a sense of pride.
Hmm.
I did this, and because of this, this happened, right? So,
Hmm.
I came up with this product design, and then that became a, $200 million, portfolio for my company. I
Right.
was the one who did it, right? So that's a different way of looking at it, right? And then, yeah. So if you make your CFO responsible for certain metrics, right? Like whether it is
Hmm. Right.
profitability, or if you look at, whether it is receivables, whether it is treasury, or whether it is, whatever. And then their job is to keep the tab on that. Any changes happens from there,
Hmm.
and then everything else, organization has to adjust itself
Right.
to make sure those numbers come into place, right? So that's a different style, but not everybody can let it go in the sense because,
I was just going to say that. I
right?
go, there's the challenge of really letting it go and and actually sharing the credit with the actions that
It's
they do
control, credit, and
delegate. Hmm.
yeah, that's a perspective.
Right.
But yeah, I always feel that that's the cost of the prize that you pay. I want to become gold medalist in Olympics. I had to be prepared to be alone because there's only one gold medal. You want friends, you can get silver. You want more
Right.
friends, you can get something else.
Right.
If you want too many friends, don't even go to Olympics, right? Right?
That's excellent. That's excellent. Yeah. Well, what kind of encouragement would you give leaders watching right now who feel like they're carrying the load all themselves? What would
Yeah.
you share with them?
I think you're not alone by carrying the load. You have lot more CEOs who are sitting at the top, has been there, done that successfully, and
Hmm.
learn the process, and toughen up. You have to toughen up. You
Hmm.
have to be resilient. You have to develop that thick skin that they talk about, right? And
Right.
you need to, like I said, you need to coach yourself internally. You don't seek external coaching for you to toughen up. Nobody can teach you courage. You develop your own courage when you have to be decisive. But I think it's a process. I think one need to be prepared for it. That preparation will make them ready. So they're not.
Hmm.
There is no much surprise,
Hmm.
right? And while you take so much responsibility, while you take so much accountability, now you don't have anybody to share your problems, or you don't have anybody to kind of yeah, share your own problems and provide solutions for you. But it is what it is. That's just the nature of it. But like I said, seek mentors, seek your ideal role models, right? Who has already done this, many times. So
Right.
seek them. They're out there, but they're not easily available. But it's your job to go and seek them, seek and try to be part of some of the masterminds. They're available out there. There are so
Hmm.
many resources available, right? But high quality resources. You just need to do your own research. You need to do your
Right.
own research, and they're pretty niche and very narrow, industry specific and whatnot. And that would definitely give an edge, not only to conquer your loneliness, but also to be a great performer, to be a great leader.
Right. I mean, you're right. They do. There's plenty of options out there, groups,
Yeah.
connections that you can make, especially, I've seen plenty of them come up more and more now,
Mhm. Mhm.
with the various CEO options out there, fractional and so forth. So I think that there are people that they could do their research to find people that are in a similar industry, similar situation, connect with
Yes.
them,
Mm.
and learn as well. I
Mm.
think that's a great recommendation, and would really help them with some of that isolation feeling.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, today has been incredibly valuable. As you know, we go through this, I would continue to talk with you for much longer. So I've worked with a lot of different similar industries as we discussed, but this has been very valuable. So where can people follow your work, connect with you in your group, and continue this conversation?
Yeah, my LinkedIn is the best way to connect with me. Other than that, I can be available for a free strategy session or consultation. Um, they can email me, Krishna at geniusvisionaryinc.com. Again, Krishna at geniusvisionaryinc.com, and they can refer to the show. I'll be happy to do a confidential consultation and help them and guide them in any which way and form.
That's wonderful. Well, that's great. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us today and being so open and practical. What stands out to me is how your insight for leaders, it isn't about perfection. It's about courage, clarity, connection, building that confidence.
Yeah,
So, maybe in the audience you've been hesitating on making a decision and carrying the weight alone.
yeah,
Take this as a reminder that movement is better than waiting, and
yeah,
support is closer than you think, whether it's building a pure network, finding a mentor, or simply starting small with a brave choice. You don't have to do this journey alone.
yeah.
This is Kimberly Diamond, and this is the Human Factor. Thank you for joining us. Remember, the Human Factor, the key to leading with authenticity and strength. We'll be right back with more stories, insights, and real world strategies for leading with purpose. This is the Human Factor on Now Media Television.